Arturo, please come up to the podium, sir. Good morning. First of all, I want to thank everybody who was involved with this. I feel honored and privileged to be part of this panel. Don't know why I'm here, but I'm still honored and privileged. Part of this theme is immigration policy and border issues. I was raised in the U.S. in McAllen, Texas, and my parents were illiterate. They spoke Spanish. So I went to elementary school just speaking Spanish and not understanding anything that was being said for about 4 or 5 years of elementary school. Then I started learning English. And during this time, my classmates would make fun of my accent in English. On weekends, we would go work in the fields, and the workers would make fun of my accent in English. So I decided to learn English really well. Then I found that I used such highfalutin words that nobody understood what I was saying. At the age of 14, my mother decided that we needed some kind of spiritual side to us. So she took us to the Roman Catholic Church in San Juan, where the priest spoke in Latin, and I didn't understand a word he said. But I did learn a way of speaking that seemed to get me everywhere. And I started speaking like this so people would know what I was talking about. So when I would ask things, I would always use this religious So I never learned any Latin. The Rio Grande Valley, I call a transition zone. If you're in the valley, you're not in the U.S. If you're on the southern side of the Rio Bravo, you're not in Mexico. Go 30 miles away from here, from the border, and you'll see a Mexico that is grand and beautiful. But along 30 miles, it's all business and negotiations. Same on this side. And here we have issues with immigration. If you've been listening to the presidential candidate, we have Mr. Donald Trump, who pretty much speaks his mind irrationally, but I used to work in a psychiatric ward, so what's the big deal? And then you have the Democrats who believe in an open policy. So that's the range. But I want to talk about who's in the valley, where did they come from, why did they stay there? So this first poem I have is called Intersections. In Guanajuato, a young woman came of age in a time of turmoil, of revolution, of war. Anastasia bore a rifle and fought alongside men, tended the wounded, cooked the meals, buried the dead. Thus was the life of my grandmother. In Miguel Alemán, on the banks of the Rio Bravo, a young woman sat on a bench in the town plaza. Circumstances sent her very far from home, far from the comforts of family and friends. She wore 18 years on her life journey. Thus was the life of my mother. In Guerrero Viejo, over 200 years ago, began the story of a family on a journey to a country called America. The son of a son our son, raised holy hell in the town of Agurias. Thus was the life of my father. Near Morelos on Rancho Tripanco was born a young man raised in the mountains who, tired of hunger and cold, made a decision both lonely and bold. At 12, he left home and headed north. Thus was the life of my second father. The intersections created migrants traversing this country, seeking a dream. Some dreams change, some flourish, some end. As new paths are blazed, as old ways fade. Thus is the life of a son in America. And as we grow up in this culture, we start learning things. We start seeing things. My mother, like I said, was illiterate. She only had 3 years of school. My second father was totally illiterate. He never went to school. So what we have is a culture of violence against women because they're uneducated, they're unskilled, and they get used by predators who use them for sex or work. And that's part of Rio Grande Valley. So this one is called, this one is going to be really good for people who believe in women's rights, which I do. At one time, maybe, my father trod upon the earth a likable man, perhaps a storyteller, a jokester, and a charmer, before demons befell him and possessed his mind to become the man-father I met at the end of his mortal thread. A fighter, a womanizer, a skilled carpenter, he swilled beer and liquor as his spirits were air, and he was a mean drunk to boot, given to rages with scores to settle. During my time with him, he was absent, leaving for work in the early dawn, only his boots scraping on the wood floor, serving as notice that he soon would be gone. Every midnight, he exploded back into my world, hurling curses and invectives at the universe, daring his God to still the fomenting spite of his world, challenging his God to right the wrongs of life. Thundering storm, my father brought his chaos home, full of brewed courage. He faced his wife, my mother, and with the anger of an intoxicated coward, he slapped her across the face and laughed as she cowered on the floor. When she arose, he struck again and again, until she fell and did not rise again. Grunting in satisfaction, he staggered to the bedroom, collapsed on the bed, and snored heavily. I knelt by my mother, placed her head in my arms. She cried and held me close to her chest. No pasó nada, hijo. Vete a dormir. Nothing happened, son. Go to sleep. She led me to my corner bed, kissed my cheek, and smiled. Then she walked to the kitchen. I dreamt that night, fitful nightmares full of pain and tears. I saw a woman walking past me, a cast iron skillet in her hand. I heard thumping sounds, groans, moans, silence. Then her strong, indignant voice spoke. You are stronger than I. You can do what you want to me. But when you are drunk, I will do this to you again. From that day onward, until he died, the cast iron skillet serves its purpose only in the kitchen. so we hear the candidates talking about immigration, its numbers. It's not really people they're talking about or the reasons they're doing what they do, not understanding that American policy has a lot to do with the drug trade in Mexico. If they don't get the money, they can't buy the drug. Yet 96% of the drugs used in this country are by Americans. And we tend to forget that we are funding what we're trying to stop. I'm looking for a certain poem, again talking about my father. It's cleverly hidden in here. So I will spend the next 10 minutes looking for it. Chattering on, saying this of wisdom that nobody will remember. But they will say, oh yeah, it was that guy up there with the cane, he was funny. Here we are. Everything's always at the beginning, isn't it? This is about my father. Came from Morelia. He decided he needed to make a change in his life. He was hungry every day. His clothes were in tatters. At 5 years old, he was sent to the mountains to take care of the sheep and goats, and he would sleep with the sheep and goats. His job, keep the wolves away. 5 years old. A smile lingers in my mind, the constant memory of the man I am privileged to call father. Since his arrival in my life when I was 14, not a day passed that his smile did not appear to provide the strength I needed every day to survive the brutal chaos of my life. At 33 years of age, Osteen walked in serenity with the merging of infinity and new birth. At a time when life weighed heavier than I wished to live, his story is the foundation of my life. And to him, I owe an account. One cannot say that Mexico cared for him, or that he cared for Mexico. One cannot say that Mexico did not care for him, or that he did not care for Mexico. In truth, he was merely a child born in a country given to apathy for his own progeny and creation. By any measure of his time, Osteen was destined for early death, perhaps to illness with no medical care available, or to a morbid accident far from a soothing hand, or perhaps to the vicissitudes of fortune, brought about by a history of revolution and painful formations. Needless to say, Osteen bore a smile that carried him on a lengthy life. At 12, hunger stirred him to action, and he left home to gamble his future in a wisp of a dream far away from his family, who loved him, but needless to say, saw him distant about defeat. From the cold Chisel Mountains of Morelia to the border of Tijuana, abutting the United States, he traveled by foot, with hunger as a constant companion. Miles became mere seconds of endurance as that gleam of a dream twinkled still. Then at the demarcation line between two countries, he stood in front of an electrified fence. "Do not touch it or you will die," said his fellow travelers. Osteen smiled. The winsome smile of a child man who has seen forever and understand that though death may be final, starvation is agonizingly present and insistent. Die here or die there? What's the difference, he asked. So with steady hand, he reached for the first wire on the electric fence while preparing himself for eternity. Or perhaps the growing pangs of hunger did not exist. Hand touched wire. Nothing happened. He smiled that wide smile of a conqueror and dove between the wires to continue the journey. into the land that once belonged to Mexico. Running on short, stubby legs, he turned toward his beautiful companion. Patriots saluted and smiled. 10 years later, after many deportations back to his land, Agustin stood beneath the Reynosa to Hidalgo Bridge, staring at a 12-inch metal pipe spanning the undercarriage of the obstacle leading back to America. Below, the Rio Bravo flowed by in silent witness to the efforts of a man who smiled at life, regardless of the crooked deals or lying faces, all to be endured by those who had need. He placed one hand on the pipe, then the other. Suspended in space, he began to shimmy across, hand over hand, slowly moving a hand each at a time. The rusty pipe cut through his calluses, leaving bloody handprints as he moved. Courage, he once told me, is fear being eaten. So he ate fear as coagulated blood held him to the pipe. The river gurgled below as he panted above, two sounds merging in a moment of decision. On the American side, he dropped quietly to the ground, rubbed his hands on the dirt, and smiled. Catch a ride, walk a distance, talk a while, find work, another journey, another trial. Soon he would have a bed and a roof, and most importantly, food to eat. That is the man who became my father. My inclusion in his life returned my life to me. His story is the foundation of my life. His life is the foundation of my story. And to him, I owe it. So these were the kind of people who came to the valley, and they lived there, and they taught some of us how to be strong. Thank you.
Muchas gracias. Okay.